Okay. Well, hopefully that annoying running water is not audible behind me. But let's let's start playing this game. Um, okay, so I I placed some disclaimers for some of the stuff I'm gonna say. So like what a free player is to me, what a pay-to-play player is, and so on. So I'm not going to cover that. Um, but I am going to get into what I think makes this game, what could have been a really good game. Something that kind of took over from Diablo 3 and World of Warcraft. It could have competed with Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn. Um, but instead, they chose violence and they chose to make um, what I think you could argue Diablo Immortal is worse. Um, I think this game is actually worse, uh, or at least on par with Diablo Immortal. And I'd say the one saving grace for Diablo Immortal is they're upfront about how much cost goes into their game and what you can expect to pay. This game is completely dishonest and tries to hide it from you, but the more you play, the more you experience. Like you get to 1400, you hit an absolute fucking brick wall on your progress. So you can see I've been playing since the game came out. I think February 14th. I'm at 1409, and I don't really have enough anything to keep pushing. So it's going to be another 3 or 4 months before I get to 1415, or before I would, because I'm not going to play after this. Um, but if you just look at I'll do my daily fishing before I do Argos. If you just look at a lot of the design aspects and design elements in the game, you have things like sailing, and you know sailing is only in the game to waste your time. A lot of the stuff, you sail out to an island. I forget which rune I was looking for. You sail out to an island, you fight one guy one time. Outside of that, you have no reason to ever go to that island ever again, right? And that kind of content is how you can tell that it's just there to waste your time. It could have been somewhere else. It could have been in a dungeon, in a raid, anything else. But to waste your time, they put it on this island out here that takes, you know, this one thing takes 5 minutes to do. It takes a few minutes out there. Uh, you kill the boss, fight takes a few minutes, and you teleport back, right? But having to do this for every single thing in the game adds up. And and the fact that there is so much island content that contributes very little, like small little pieces of loot here and there, and you have to do them every single day, but you're limited to how much you can do every day. Um, it's all just handcrafted to waste your time. Um, and triports are another thing where you look at it and you say, hey, okay, this is a really good fast travel system until you try to teleport across your first continent and you realize you can't do that. And then you say, it's like, okay, they, they made a good system, and then they broke it up so that even it contained time wasting, because like I can't triport, but I can spend a few thousand silver and get the boat over there. And why is that? It's because the triport would be instant. The boat is going to waste around 30 seconds of your time, so you have to take the boat. Same instant travel, but one wastes your time and the other doesn't, so you have to do the time wasting one. You know, we can get into, as I try to focus on this net, we can get into, things like flares, because to me, flares were the first thing that I discovered that were a major waste of time. Um, and and that's because I ran around, I got to, I think it was item level 300, didn't know what flares were, didn't even know they were part of the game, and I was running around trying to kill Urinal and could not find him. It took me, I think I spent 11 of the 20 minutes looking for him, um, and and that was awful. Um, and so that is a ridiculous boss with the side rolling. Um, and so that's when I looked up. I saw somebody else use a flare, and I asked them what it was, and then I looked it up, and there's this consumable thing that you either have to spend your time going out farming the resources or your money buying the resources and then more money crafting them. Um, and again, that just adds up to more time wasting that you have to do, and it sucks because they've designed everything, even if it's in some minimal fashion. Everything is designed to require consumables, uh, and that's just it's just to ensure that you're wasting your time and money on everything. Um, and when you start getting into like consumable mechanics like stagger checks and the defense reduction that I use and this potion here, these were all in the free boxes. But yeah, all of these things, these potions that you have to buy or craft, um, you'll see a lot of free players don't even use them because they either don't know about them or they can't afford them. And that's because your cost, roughly, your cost per character is going to be around 5,000 gold um, per month. Uh, and and people don't understand that. You look at some of it can be mitigated with skill, but if we look at major HP potions, which is what I use, they're I think 15 gold a piece, right? So if you're using 5 per fight, okay, you're using around 75 gold per fight. So if you're doing 3 of those fights every single week, that's 225 gold a week just dumped into HP potions, right? You're not using stagger check potions. You're not using time stop for the guy in Areja Preveza. Um, you're not using it. You're just doing health potions, um, and so the cost is just completely astronomical. You obviously make more per character, but they've put in every little possible sink they could think of uh, to try and take what little free resources you get away and minimize the amount of progress that you make. Um, and it's all done with the goal of forcing you to spend more time on the game, because the more time you spend on the game, then the more likely you are to spend money on the game. And we see that directly reflected in the fact that almost everyone who plays over 3 hours on the game has spent quite a bit of money. I would say probably close to $400 or $500 on the game. Um, there are some people who get a bit lucky with gold, uh, and they kind of exploit people who are willing to pay, $4,000 or $5,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 gold for a piece of jewelry that should only be like 100 gold. Um, if you just wait a little bit, uh, but I mean, people pay for a reason because they don't have the patience to wait. Um, and so the next, uh, let's start Argos raid. Fun. The next time wasting we get into is uh, the crafting system. Uh, Crafting is only in the game, again, like everything else, to waste your time. There's no meaningful crafting. Your crafting and at the end of the game boils down to, I believe it's upgrading your ship, which is a waste of time because it shouldn't be in the game. Crafting consumables, which shouldn't be in the game. This bottom row here, these should just be skills so you can learn the mechanics of the game without paying for it. Um, and so yeah, you have consumables, And then you also have the food version of consumables, which you're going to see in every MMO. And you essentially end up with a crafting system that is worthless aside from a few minor things, but you have to waste your time on it, or you're not going to have access to those things that you need it for. It's just like on when that other Amazon game came out. You had they have this massive crafting system, but I believe the only things of value, New World, that's it. The only things of value at the end of the game were alchemy and cooking, and that's it. And so you have some harvesting skills like fishing and whatnot that are used to funnel into those, but outside of that, you're just wasting your time. All the weapon, armor smithing, all that shit, complete waste of time. It's all worthless compared to the gear that just drops on the ground. But they have a whole system just for alchemy and cooking, and it's dumb. I don't know why put a crafting system in the game that is just a waste of time. Okay, so there's the other thing. Who's taking forever here? This idiot. The other thing to look at is, did I get the? The other thing to look at is the rate at which you acquire the resources you need to spend compared to the rate that you need to spend, right? So it's acquire versus spend, that ratio. And in this game, that ratio is massively out of scale, right? So I sat down and I did the calculations as if you're a free-to-play player. You play under 3 hours a day, so you play under 3 hours a day, and you spent no more money in the game than the base cost of a game, so $60, right? And at the base cost, right? So at my gear level at 1400, it costs approximately 500 something of each resource to upgrade your gear. Only 200 something gold, but that cost goes up. Well, at just the 1400 to 1405 costs, it takes 9 months to upgrade to 1415. 9 fucking months grinding the same shit over and over, just to get to the next piece of content, and then the grind is even longer at the next piece of content. It's completely absurd. But that's what some players need, I guess. So then, let's see. Oh, gating. Since we're on this boss, let's talk about gating. To me, it makes no sense why they have like the same content with different rules and restrictions. So this boss is not gated. This boss has to be one shot, which means if you're doing this in a pug, like I am, this pug will essentially auto quit after phase 1, and then you can't join again. You're just done. That's a shame. And I don't get why they would do that. It makes no difference. You'll acquire the gear slightly faster, but you still have to upgrade. So that makes sense. It makes no sense. Like nothing is gained by them not putting gating in. And especially when content after this is, I believe it's all gated. Yeah, all the content, or most of the content after this is gated, so you can do it piece by piece. That guy died. That's unfortunate. Oh, and since we're on Argos and Guardian raids and whatnot, similar thing, this lack of health bars that some pieces of content do is completely idiotic. It makes no sense. Health bars are in most of the game, but randomly some pieces of content won't have health bars. That is completely terrible, because when my team inevitably dies, and I'm forced to try and finish the fight, how do I know if I'm finishing a fight where the guy's got like 85% health left, or he's got like 2% health left, and it's not going to be a waste of time? Mostly see that in Guardian raids, not so much in this, because in this you basically know where it is just because of how the phases work. Jumps around doing this thing. Okay. Oh, knowledge transfer. Oh my god, I was so happy when I found out about knowledge transfer. And then I was disappointed, as usual, when I actually tried knowledge transfer and found out that you get one transfer, and then you have to do the content again. And it's not even instant. You're paying a ton of gold, waiting a long time, and then having to do the content. So you're paying a massive price to skip something that would take you an hour. Fions, if you've used the marketplace, Fions, they're self-explanatory. They're arguably one of the worst designs that the game has ever seen. It makes sense there. Lost Ark. So yeah, that Fions are a frustrating thing. I know if people who are pay to play don't really have a problem, because I think you can buy them blue diamonds. But if you're free to play, you basically have no access outside of the free things. Oh, that guy was so focused on pinging like an animal that he forgot to let me. I can't see character. Oh, character management. So that was another thing that I didn't understand. It takes you 24 hours to delete a character, and you can only delete one character at a time. Sun creature. And then when it comes to restoring characters, it's not like World of Warcraft where I can restore my own characters. I have to contact support and someone to inform me. And that's just, it's something I'll never understand, how one company will solve a problem. The solution is publicly available, and no one else knows how to solve it. I just a game like World of Warcraft, I can queue, and then my content will pop up, and then my other queues pause while I'm in that content, and then when I'm out, they keep going. So I can queue for all the things I need to do, and then play them as they come up. In this, your queue is dropped if you queue for something else. And sometimes, I believe, if you go to like your stronghold while you're in the queue, it removes you from the queue. So there's very little you can do while sitting in the queue waiting. And that just seems stupid. But the big problem at the end of the day is that because this makes so much money, and I think this game will die by next February. I think it'll be under 30,000 actual players. The number might be a little higher because of the bots that are becoming more prevalent. But as far as actual players, I think we're under 40,000. And the next game will be worse than this, because people, paying $800 a month to play this game. That tells the company that this trash design of things is something that is okay, accepted by the community, when it shouldn't be. Right? A game should be fun. You're going to have to do some practice, some work, building up your resources to advance. That's totally fine. But 9 months to go from 1400 to 1415, so that you can access the next piece of content, which will then take even longer to progress. Like, that is garbage. I mean, there's nothing else to call it. It's just garbage. But that's the game people want to play. And don't get me wrong, there are good things, despite how bad the game is. There are good things about the game, and there are obviously bad things about the game. Like, I like doing the Argos fight. I don't like that I can only do it once a week, don't like that it's gated, don't like that it has a health bar. These are all things that should have been solved in Korea before ever making it to the US. But as far as I'm concerned, the game is dead. I don't know enough about the other classes to know if these are worth anything. I know these are not worth anything to a mage, so they're gone. These are gone. This is my alternate spec down here. But yeah, I think this is a dead game. I think WoW will die soon because they're not correcting their problems. But they don't need to. You think about the money WoW makes and the example they set. WoW makes, and I'm using numbers from 9.1 because they still had about 3 million players. WoW makes approximately $15 million a month. Or not 15, sorry, they make $50 million a month, right? Well, when you can make $50 million a month on a game that's that bad, it tells developers like Tripod Studios, whoever made this game, Amazon and Smilegate and all those guys, that if they set their profit target a little lower, they can actually make an even worse game, and they'll still profit. And the next guy will say, I can make an even worse game, and they'll keep going until eventually this trend of liking terrible games um, dissolves. Uh, but the saddest thing about these games is that you have players that are kind of, they're not really pillars, but they stand out in the community. So you have players that complained about World of Warcraft and how bad that was, but then they go over to this game and talk about how this game is really great, but it's not. This game has all the problems World of Warcraft has at a much larger scale, so they're much worse problems, but they love this game because they can pay to win. Um, and so to me it stands out, and it says that their problem with WoW, and don't get me wrong, WoW is a bad game. Their problem with WoW is that they couldn't pay to win in World of Warcraft, and so they're upset with it. Um, and I blame those people for ruining gaming. Um, I'm not gonna name names, but you see them everywhere, ruining every single game, uh, and they'll be the reason why the next game is worse. Uh, but that's it for me. I can now uninstall this trash from my computer. Um, I'll make a couple of recommendations so it doesn't seem like it's just complaining. Um, and so keeping in mind the spirit of like not changing the entire game, I think there's a few changes that need to be made in a general sense. Um, I like the store as far as, you know, um, selling skins and whatnot. I think this is the this is how you make money. Um, this is not how you make money. This is how you ruin games. Um, and so I think the things they need to do are um, take out some of the cost of upgrading gear so that you can be pushing content. Like, it should only take me about a month to get with one. If I just have one character playing only 2 hours a day or so, it should take me maybe at most a month to get to the next piece of content. Um, I'm still going to play everything. I'm still going to practice and try and get better. Um, but it's not taking 9 months to get to this guy, 15 months to get to the next guy, you know, 24 months to get to the content after that. That's ridiculous and needs to go. Um, and then you have, like, I should be able to make progress in the game that is not based on random chance. So, for example, when I get gems, um, I should be able to get these gems. I should be able to have a random chance. You see, I have gems here, but I'm not playing, so I'm not going to re-roll these at the gem cutter. Um, get these things. I can randomly upgrade them. They'll turn into a higher level thing potentially, or not, as you can see here. Um, but these gems in here should slowly gain experience, right? Um, or you could say that the sockets should gain experience, so that over time, as I play and I get better, my character is also progressing, right? Like, this socket here, not this gem, but the actual socket behind it, will add such and such experience to the gem, so that eventually my character maxes out without me sitting here rolling low percent chances all day, every day, hoping to get the one gem that I need. Um, and engravings are a similar thing. Like, I should be able to take um, books and say, like, this purple reflux book gives me a small amount of experience, right? And that experience is used to level up my engravings, so that the legendary book will level faster, but without getting legendaries, I can still progress my character. Uh, and, but unfortunately, the random chance is so deeply rooted in how these guys make their money. I'm not gonna get into um, the psychology and how they're creating addiction to, and then leveraging that addiction into money and income, because that is illegal in the United States. And so, can't technically talk about how this entire game is not legal in the U.S. Um, but you know, no one's going to do anything about it. So, so you just design better games um, that won't make as much money initially, and hope that things turn around. I guess I'll repair my stuff before I quit. That way, if they ever fix the game and it becomes playable, I don't have broken gear. But I did have another theory. If I go, it's character select. I had another theory I was working on, but again, the character management is so bad that it's much easier and much better for me to just not play anymore than to waste my time trying to work around all the flaws in the game. So there are, unfortunately, 4 characters here that I don't have these characters, but I wanted to play, and that's the I think it's the assassin, the 2 assassin characters. Don't remember what they're called. And then the artist and the summoner, but again, game's not worth it. And then on this other server, I was working on a legion of sorceresses to farm gems so that I could max out quicker. But nope, the game sucks. So just gonna get rid of it. And then I don't know. Hopefully a better game is made. I guess I'll, in the meantime, while I wait for that, I'll make my own games. That way I can work on and play something good while I'm waiting for someone else to make something good. Oh shit. I don't know how to bring up Steam. Oh well. Yeah, I don't know how to bring up Steam on OBS. I got into it the lazy way. I know how to bring up the calculator apparently, but well, that is that.